until 2 years ago when they started the Athletic Hall of Fame in Pittsville, and he was one of the first inductees. And it was mentioned that um, during his life, either as a student, teacher, coach, and athletic director, he spent 50 years as part of the Pittsville School District. I thought that was really amazing. I don't know if there's many people that could say that they've done that much in one district, and so that was something that I guess I knew he had done all those things, but just when you hear that number, really, was very meaningful to me. And um, yeah, so I think if you look at myself or my brother, and if you look at kind of how our lives have played out, and how the path that we've taken, I think it probably shows how much our father meant to us, and how we were influenced by him. We both are teachers, we're both coaches. I'm an athletic director, and so I think that that's probably, I think, the best way that we can honor him is by continuing to do the things that he did and hopefully do them well.
All right, well, Coach, thanks for coming by, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Pittsfield High School basketball coach Mark Denniston with us on our boys basketball preview program from Nuts Deep 2 on South Central Avenue in Marshfield. We'll come back momentarily and visit with Auburndale coach Chad Weinfurter, so please stay with us.
Little Sprouts Learning Garden with 2 convenient central Wisconsin locations. Here's Brooke Sievers to tell us about it.
Little Sprouts has been around for almost 7 years here in Auburndale. In Rudolph, we've been open for about 2.5. We serve here in Auburndale, we have 6 weeks old up until 12-year-olds. And then in Rudolph, we have 1-year-olds up until 12-year-olds. The biggest thing that we do with them is we have play-based learning so that they learn through play with each other. And social skills are a huge part of what we do with them.
Find Little Sprouts Learning Garden on Facebook today.
Hi, I'm Malachi from Northside Computers and Cellular. We are currently offering a great savings of 2 phone lines for $50, and it includes unlimited talk, text, and data. Stop down at Northside Computers and Cellular, 907 South Central Avenue, Marshfield, to see how you can save on your internet, cable, and phone bills. We have the best providers under one roof.
2 phone lines, $50. Get mobile, internet, and television all under one roof. Northside Computer and Cellular of Marshfield. Wondering what to feed your team after work, the game, or this weekend? Chips Hamburgers in Marshfield and Wisconsin Rapids has tasty, char-broiled burgers for any hungry appetite. From the classic hamburger to the famous Chips Champ and everything in between, check out our daily specials. Stop inside to enjoy your meal with comfortable seating. See our complete menu of burgers, hot ham and cheese, hot beef, chicken and fish, fries, rings, curds, and ice cream served year-round. In a hurry? Same great menu in the drive-thru. Chips Hamburgers in Marshfield and Wisconsin Rapids.
Chad Weinfurter. Chad, thanks for being with us this evening, and welcome to our program.
Thanks for having me.
And let's talk about Auburndale basketball. Your team off to a very good start this year. Fill us in on this ball club and what things look like for you.
Well, we had that deep run last year, the sectional final, and we lost a really, really impressive senior class, a group that any coach would, hate to see go. But we also brought back 4 guys that played a lot of big minutes and a lot of big games last year. So, starting with the 3 seniors, Evan Scholl, Caden Weinfurter returning starters, Caden Anderson, and Blake Rabb, a junior off the bench. And those 4 have been our leaders early in the season here while we try to develop another 4 or 5 guys to get in our rotation. And so far it's gone pretty well. One little bump in the road against Columbus, but I don't know how you can count that as a bad loss. So.
Yeah, a lot of good players back from your ball club this year. Tell us about these young men and what they can do for you this year.
Well, starting with those seniors, Evan Scholl has been my point guard since 3rd grade, coaching this group, and he's got some quickness. Obviously, a really good athlete, an all-conference football player. He's still looking for his shooting touch this year a little bit, but he can get to the rim. Really nice leadership out of those guys. And 2 guys with the strongest starts are the 2 Cadens, Caden Anderson, Caden Weinfer. Caden Anderson's just been terrific inside-outside player for us. Very multifaceted, can shoot the jumper, can take you off the dribble, leads us in offensive rebounds, leads us in scoring. And then you got Caden Weinfer, my last son in the trio here. And, of course, he's got that great size at about 6'6", 6'7". He can play inside, but yet he's one of the better shooters in the area too. That's kind of required as a coach's kid to grow up as a shooter. So he's done a tremendous job with that, and we've done a really nice job of being hard to guard with putting those guys inside, having them step outside off the drive, things like that. And then you add in junior Blake Grab, who's played with these guys all along. He's on my varsity roster as a freshman, and he's probably our best perimeter defender, along with adding another shooter and ball handler in there. And those four, I think most teams in the area would take those four guys to start a team, in a heartbeat. And then right now, Thomas Aui is a 6'7" junior off the bench. He's one of those kids that's kind of playing catch-up. He had knee surgery on both knees, 8th grade year, his freshman year, because he grew so fast, and now he's starting to come into his own a little bit, and we're getting some good rebounding out of him. Still waiting for the scoring to come, but he's working really hard. And then we have 2 more seniors off the bench, Aiden Cherney and Mason Meisner, who have given us really big minutes. And in the last couple of weeks, Aiden Rabb and Peyton Weinfurter have been getting more minutes too. So we're developing that depth. But those 4 returning guys, I lean on them heavily for a lot of different things.
We were talking with Chris Fisher about the good size he has in his program with a couple of 6'7" guys, a bunch of 6'5" guys, 6'2" guys as well. But that's Division I. For Division IV to have the size that you have, that's, I'm sure, a big advantage for you against many ball clubs.
Yeah, and with my son, 3 years he's been through the varsity experience, and I heard Chris talking on the way in here about the physicality and the speed, and guys just really don't realize it till they start playing it. And even like this summer, they were getting a little more used to it. Well, all of a sudden it hits another level when you start your season, and I think Thomas has had a bit of a hard time adjusting to that right away, but now these last couple games, you can see him feeling a little more comfortable. And when going against guys like Caden Anderson every day in practice probably helps, because Caden is one of the more physical kids around the area. You saw him on the football field carrying the football and just running through guys, making his own holes a lot of times. In basketball, he's just been so good around the rim. But those 3 guys to have that little rotation inside is really an advantage for us.
How about some other young men on your ball club this year?
Well, speaking of those reserve roles, Aiden Cherney, really good baseball player. Didn't get much varsity time last year as a junior, but he stepped up where I almost feel like he's a 6th starter right now. If Thomas is struggling a little bit at the beginning, I can get Aiden in there, and I know we still have a solid 5 out there. He gives us another good defender, another good ball handler, and he's really done a good job of picking and choosing his times to score. There's only so many shots that go around, but Aiden really works at it. And, he's probably only about 5'8", but he's one of those kids that's always got a hand on the ball. Mason Meisner, another very physical kid off the bench, plays really hard, just trying to build his confidence up a little bit too. And then we've got Aiden Rabb, who's a junior, and Peyton Weinfurter, who's a sophomore, and those 2 are really kind of battling each other for that 8th spot, and they've both done really nice jobs lately where I can feel pretty comfortable putting them in against, the Merriwood South opponents, the Assumptions and Edgars and Stratfords of the world, and I think they'll do fine. So working to build that depth and build a little bit more scoring, you just never know when your good guys are going to have, the guys that lead you in scoring are going to have some off nights. So just trying to build that up.
Anything that surprised you so far this year?
Not a lot. Being around these guys all summer, you get a good feel. We're fortunate to be able to have some contact with them this summer and get a good feel for what they're able to do. I guess the biggest surprise would be just how close these guys have come in a short time. I mean, we've always been pretty blessed with good chemistry in our program with upperclassmen and underclassmen, and this group once again has really meshed quickly. And sometimes that takes a little time with guys coming to the varsity level, but I think our chemistry is off the charts right now.
All right. Well, Larry Hazer is going to join us for some question and comments. Larry?
Gene talked a little bit with Chris earlier about some of the athletes playing multiple sports. How has that helped now with the basketball season?
I was thinking about that yesterday, thinking about the show tonight. I mentioned already Evan and Caden being really, really good football players. Blake was an all-conference football player as a defensive back. Blake, Caden, and Mike Caden and Aiden Cherney are all conference baseball players. And not that you have to be all conference, but that shows at what level they're also playing at in these other sports where they can carry that competitiveness over. You know, last fall was my last fall of coaching football. This year I didn't coach football, and we had a really good football team. We had a really good basketball team. We went to sectionals in baseball for the first time in 25 years. And that stuff just carries over and carries over where these kids expect to have success in whatever they do. And I think that competitive aspect, you know, where kids want to, you know, I'm going to take this season off, or I'm going to focus only on this sport. Well, that sometimes leads to a little burnout, and you don't get that competitiveness when you're working out on your own, or even with a, you know, if kids get trainers or whatever it is. It's just not the same as competing with other high school kids.
You got a pretty tough Merowith South conference this year with Marathon in there, and you guys, and Edgar, and
That you can
Stratford's got some good athletes. Not the size they've had before, but
instead of this year, you can say every year. Every
Well,
year,
yeah, right, yeah.
every year, this is it's a battle. You know, it's physical. Once again, you look Edgar, Stratford, state champion football teams. You know, it just goes on and on and on. It's fun though. You know, sometimes your record may not reflect with really how good of a team you have, but it's really fun, night in, night out, preparing. And there's different styles. And like you said, Stratford doesn't have as much size. Marathon's got a lot of size. You know, Edgar's got a very strong senior class. Assumption's got 4 sophomores starting, but they're competitive. They took Edgar down to the wire last night. It's something that as a coach, you want that competition. You know, you'd like to have a nice little sparkly record every year, but sometimes coming through that gauntlet is a little more satisfying than maybe playing in a weaker conference.
and getting you ready for tournament play. I mean, most of these teams are in Division 4.
Yeah, and what happens is a lot of times you end up running into them. Like
Right.
we played Stratford several times in the playoffs. We've back when my middle son Cooper was in school, we had some battles with Edgar in the playoffs. And of course, last year the big sectional game against Marathon. I think that's the third time probably in the last 8 or so years that we played Marathon in a sectional game. And it's one of those deals where there's no secrets anymore. And Coach Jacobs and I are very close friends as far as head coaches can be, and it's almost like competing against your brother in some aspects.
We talked about the post player kind of being non-existent with a lot of teams, and you got a tall team. Do you have a post player, or?
Well, we work on it.
Okay.
There's we run that dribble drive, pretty similar to what Columbus does, but we have a post down on that block, and we've got a lot of things. It's hard to get away from my roots because we ran the old 3 out 2 in under Coach Anderson. I coached that way for the first number of years, but kind of by necessity, we ran out of those big guys for a while. But now I think we've done a good job in that dribble drive to use that post player or to find a mismatch. Especially last year was a real challenge where we had a guy like Lucas Yeski who was a 6'3" kid, 210 pounds. We've got Alex Wilford who's 6'2". You don't want those guys hanging around the three-point line all the time.
Right.
So we did a good job of just putting in, certain reads, certain cuts to get those guys isolated on the block. So it's not necessarily one guy that sits down there, but we definitely try to get the ball inside and use that to our advantage. Because you're right, you don't see it a lot anymore, and a lot of people aren't used to defending that. So it's different that way too.
Yeah, that's one thing that's changed is not back in the earlier days. This guy was your post player.
Yes.
Right. Now it's 4 or 5 guys your post players,
Yeah.
depending on what the game situation is.
Exactly, and you see a lot of 5-out offense now, and where guys will just dive or there'll be a screen or whatever, and all of a sudden they'll sit down in the post, and that's their post matchup. We're going to see it tomorrow night or Friday night with Assumption. They've got an outstanding guard, a sophomore guard who he's probably their best post player. When he decides to go sit in the post, we were working on defending that tonight. And 15, 20 years ago, that was not the case. So you try to be as versatile, as hard as you can to be defended, but yet you don't want to put too much on your kids' shoulders either. So it's kind of that fine balance. But like I said, we've got Thomas always probably our only true post that plays on our varsity, but we got Caden Weinfurter at 6'7", Caden Anderson at 6 foot, and they're both outstanding down on the block. So we slide those in there quite a bit. But then if we get a mismatch we like, we can slide them out, interchange them, and then I get to overcoach and overthink it.
How about your coaching staff for this year?
We have another addition this year, Cooper Weinfurter, who he's student teaching at Auburndale now. Obviously knows our program really well. He was the offensive coordinator in football, and he wanted to help out in basketball. So he's our new addition. But other than that, Mike Gerke is still one of my varsity assistants. We graduated high school together, played together. Really a rock I can lean on. And then we've got Matt Klowitter, played under Coach Anderson, a little bit younger than me. He's our JV coach. And then Josh Van Scoik, who played under me in our 2015 state tournament team. So a very close-knit group, know exactly what I want. I'm at a very comfortable time in my coaching career where I have 4 really great assistants and some really nice guys to lean on.
That's good to hear. Well, Auburndale basketball coach Chad Weinfurter joining us once again. The Eagles back in action on Friday night with a ball game against the Assumption Royals at Tim Anderson Gym. Coach, good luck in that one and throughout the season.
Thanks.
Auburndale High School basketball coach Chad Weinfurter joining us on our boys basketball preview program from Nuts Deep 2 on South Central Avenue in Marshfield. Back in just a few moments with more of our basketball preview program.
High school sports is being brought to you.
We know how a bank should be at Partners Bank. Banking should be easier, treating our customers as valued and important. Services should be better with online and mobile banking and locations close to where you live and work. Loans should be quicker, and we make all decisions locally with years of experience helping people with their financing needs. Partners Bank, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender.
Why work for Staub Construction?
Everybody around you is just family.
Everybody seems to bond together and get along good, and
They, I believe, truly care about their employees.
Staub has a great benefits package.
Staub is an employee-owned company that puts a large emphasis on work-life balance.
And everybody wants to see everybody succeed. It's a good place to work.
Join the team at Staub Construction. Apply now at staubco.com.
Hey everybody, it's Ned over at Wheeler Chevrolet GMC, and November is Red Tag Sales Event, which means an extra $500 savings on select models, Equinox, Blazers, and Silverados. Stop on in and talk to a sales consultant today.
Culligan Water delivers. From your first call, to your first sip, to your first soak. Culligan, give us a tap. The only water that comes with a van.
Basketball preview program tonight from Nuts Deep 2 on South Central Avenue in Marshfield, along with Jason Zaleski and Larry Hazer. I'm Gene Delisio joining you with our program this evening. We do have some boys basketball games on the schedule for tomorrow evening. As Coach Deniston mentioned, his Pittsfield boys basketball team will play Pacelli at Stevens Point tomorrow, game time 7 p.m. And in a non-conference boys basketball game tomorrow evening, Abbotsford is at Spencer. That ball game at 7:15. Hopefully we'll have a chance to visit with both of those coaches, new coaches in those programs coming up. Charles Jennings and Spencer, and also Garrett Rao and Abbotsford scheduled to be with us on our program tonight. In a girls basketball action tomorrow evening in the Eastern Cloverbell Conference, Owen Withey plays at Columbus at 7:15. Our broadcast of that game begins at 7 p.m. on Sports Radio 92.3 FM, WOSQ, and on WOSQFM.com. Other girls' games in the Eastern Cloverbelt on Thursday evening. Spencer is at Colby, Neilsville at Loyal, and Greenwood visits Gilman. In the Western Cloverbelt, Regis at Thorpe, Cadott at Stanley Boyd. And girls' basketball tomorrow in the Marywood South, Auburndale at Edgar, Newman at Stratford, Marathon at Assumption. In the Marywood North, Athens plays at Shawamigan, and that's a 6:30 start, by the way, in Park Falls. And in a non-conference girls game tomorrow evening, Wisconsin Rapids at La Crosse Central, and Marion plays at Northland Lutheran. This is our high school boys basketball preview program from Nuts Deep 2 on South Central Avenue in Marshfield. We're enjoying some of their food this evening. Also talking with boys basketball coaches about the upcoming season. We'll come back with more of our program from Nuts Deep 2 in just a moment.
High school sports is being brought to you courtesy of our broadcaster club members, including...
Snow piles up quickly. Remove it just as quickly with Kubota subcompact and compact tractors. Our #1 selling tractors are built to take on winter with front and rear mount snow blowers, blades, and rotary sweepers. Get select Kubota subcompact or compact tractors for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months and save $1,000. See your local Kubota dealer today.
Your local Kubota dealer is Chili Implement, located 1 mile north of Highway 10 in Chili.
Little Sprouts Learning Garden with 2 convenient central Wisconsin locations. Here's Brooke Sievers to tell us about it.
Little Sprouts has been around for almost 7 years here in Auburndale. In Rudolph, we've been open for about 2.5. We serve here in Auburndale, we have 6 weeks old up until 12-year-olds. And then in Rudolph, we have 1-year-olds up until 12-year-olds. The biggest thing that we do with them is we have play-based learning so that they learn through play with each other. And social skills are a huge part of what we do with them.
Find Little Sprouts Learning Garden on Facebook today.
Need a new mattress? All Furniture in downtown Marshfield has mattresses, and you can save like never before. We have stacks of mattresses, save big on factory liquidations and closeouts, one-of-a-kind items, and mismatched fabrics. Save on special purchases and rollback pricing on two-sided flippable mattresses. Discounts on adjustable bases and even clearance pricing on floor models.
The furniture people for good home furnishings. Mall furniture where value is yours.
Have lunch or dinner sometime at Nuts Deep 2 on South Central Avenue in Marshfield. While we have a few moments here, let's bring in Larry and Jason for some comments about basketball. Guys, anything that you've seen early in the year that strikes you for this basketball season?
Well, Larry, I know you're enjoying the pizza there, so I'll let you keep going there for just a little bit. Chad's still back here. I'm going to say this. I'm sure he's heard me say this before. You guys talked to him about it a little bit. Just the Merriwood South from top to bottom, just such a strong. We talked about it during the girls' program 2 weeks ago, but the boys is just the same. And these teams got to get through that conference schedule, and it's so tough. And then, like Chad was last year, rewarded with a sectional semifinal game against Marathon. He happened to come out on top, or a semifinal game against Marathon, but happened to come out on top of that. But you talk about a small school conference in the entire state, and I don't think there's a better one. And I'm not even sure if second is close than the Merriwood South. It's so tough to be in that conference, but yet it gets you playoff ready.
I've seen a couple of those teams now. Well, one. No, two. I've seen Stratford and Marathon against Neelsville. And, yeah, they are. Well, Stratford is not that big, but they're very athletic and physical.
Yeah.
And Marathon, well, Grant Warren, I mean, they have him in the middle.
Those teams they're punishing teams. You mentioned physical, and they are. And from top to bottom, in that conference, there's no let up in the conference season, no matter what place it is or the record of the other team. They're just so good. They're obviously well coached, and their skills, their level of their skills are just higher than similar sized conferences around the state. And I'm talking from top to bottom. That it makes it so hard to play against those teams, especially when you come out of conference. You think, hey, we're pretty good. We're coming from XYZ conference, and you roll into one of those schools, and you get sent back home.
And I think that's you talked about other schools coming out of their conferences. Yeah. Sometimes their records are deceiving.
Yeah.
They'll come out of a conference unbeaten, but what did you play?
Yeah.
Compared to some of these other schools.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we talked about other sports. I mean, like Stratford and Edgar, he mentioned. Champions in football. I mean, that does carry over into basketball. I mean, you look at these guys; they are athletic, and you can tell they hit the weight rooms. And
I've heard you guys talk to the coaches too about these players, playing multiple sports and what an advantage that is. And we're talking about boys sports today, but you play football in the fall. You've got kind of some of that conditioning. I don't want to get too medical about it, but your cartilage is built up from taking those hits during the football season, and so you're banging around down low. That's nothing come basketball time. They're ready for it at that point.
Yeah. There's some good basketball teams around the area. I seen one last night in Columbus Catholic.
Yeah. Shooters.
They're
Shooters everywhere.
Another team to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Good senior class they got over there at Columbus Catholic.
Yeah, kind of been building that group for a little while. All right, well, I see our next coach is here. Maybe we'll take a short break, and we'll come back with Owen Withy's Russ Weiler.
Russ Weiler standing by. We'll talk to Russ about Blackhawks basketball as our boys basketball program continues in just a moment.
High school. Wisconsin Glass is Central Wisconsin's choice for your next new or remodeled shower and bathroom. The experts at Central Wisconsin Glass will effortlessly guide you through the design and installation process. Have the elegant and modern shower and bathroom you've been looking for. Call Central Wisconsin Glass at 715-387-8010. That's 715-387-8010. And Central Wisconsin Glass on Facebook for your residential, commercial, and vehicle glass needs.
Hi, I'm Shai from Next Step Prosthetics. 5 years ago, we opened our practice to provide life-changing prosthetics that are both comfortable and functional.
I would definitely recommend Shai.
Shai is very compassionate, caring.
We've grown to serve patients throughout Wisconsin. We want to thank them, their families, and providers who have trusted us on the journey.
Go to Next Step because it's going to change your life.
Why wait another day? Call to set up a free, no-obligation evaluation. Let us take the next step together towards a better life.
The Sports Den, located on Marshfield's sunny south side since 1975. The Sports Den has the area's best selection of outdoor equipment. Find top brands of snowshoes, cross-country and downhill skis, snowboards, swimming equipment, skateboards, and more. The Sports Den has a full-service bike repair center along with top bike brands, Specialized, Trek, and others. The Sports Den is Central Wisconsin's Fat Bike headquarters. Visit the Sports Den in Marshfield Monday through Saturday and thesportsden.net.
Basketball preview program tonight from Nuts Deep 2 on South Central Avenue in Marshfield with Larry Hazer and Jason Zaleski. I'm Gene Delisio with you, and longtime Owen Withy high school basketball coach Russ Weiler now joining us to talk about basketball with the Blackhawks. Coach, thanks for coming by and welcome to our program.
Yeah, than's for having me. It should be an interesting show tonight.
Hard to say. You're a longtime coach, and I remember you starting out at Granton. Now, now you're a longtime coach. I feel like I'm 90 years old. But nonetheless, you've been at Owen Withy for quite a few years, doing a great job there with the Blackhawks. Tell us about the start of your season, how things look for Owen Withy this year.
With the great crew that we had coming back last year, we kind of established some things with guys who came off the bench with that team last year and knew they were going to be starters. And we had some guys try to fill some places in, and we have some fellas that are pretty hungry to play. So now trying to get them meshed over the summer, and now it's the real deal. The season has started, and we're off to a 4-1 start, which is pretty good. We kind of played some consistent basketball and some not so consistent basketball. So it's trying to get them with some younger fellas to find some roles and them to get to use of the varsity basketball speed. And you may have been the best shooter on JV, but now you have a better defender on varsity guarding you, and some of our guys are learning very quickly that they have to think 2 or 3 steps ahead. JV, you can get away with that play. Summer, you can maybe get away with that play, but now you have to think of 2 or 3 steps ahead. So they're learning it. It's a good process, and our schedule definitely gets tougher now in the next few weeks.
All right. How about some of the young men on your team and where they fit in this year?
We got 3 seniors. Quinn Hadelson's doing an excellent job leading us and just vocal and searching for his shot. He's a good guy handling the ball, can play off the ball. 3-point shooter has gotten really tall kid. Not a lot of weight, but it's got a good spin move on the inside. We can put in a post, and you wouldn't think it. You'd think you'd get shoved around a lot, but he's holding his own, going from a guard into the post, posting up in our offense. Vince Henke started last year, was that 5th guy on offense. With Amacher playing a big role, Vince could kind of pick his moments when to shoot and all that. So he's been our main post guy. He's learning, too, that scouting reports have gotten out on him, and now we need him to score in the post. He's had some good games. He's had some so-so games. But we challenge Vince, and he's up to the challenge. Our 3rd senior, Ryan Nelson, is just that 5'10", 5'11" post player, gets some rebounds, sets some great screens, plays some solid defense. So we kind of come back with a few juniors in Dominic Sherwood, who played, I think it was an 8th, 9th man last year. Quick guard, was a quarterback on the football team, so he's got that ability to handle pressure. Excellent defender, has shot the ball well from the outside. And 2 other juniors, Mason Gay and Colin Fritz, have played well in their spots, learning that 2-3 steps ahead, that just because you play hard doesn't always equate on offense as great offense. Slow down, pick your spots. 2 sophomores that were looking for big things. Jack Wendler on the inside has thrown his weight around, bopping people around, getting his shot off, doing an excellent job. And Winston Paler is kind of as we go, we'll get better and better. People, you can look at the box scores early in the season, and he's got a bucket here, bucket there, but what we saw during the summer, we haven't seen quite yet at the varsity level, but he's learning a lot. So that's our top 8, and we come back with a couple other sophomores and juniors to help us.
As you mentioned, you lost some good talent from last year's ball club. So how is the new crew meshing together?
I think we're meshing pretty well. They definitely understand the goals, the expectations. Now we just have to find, points when we go on a little bit of drought where we're going to get our points from. And sometimes, our defense last year masked some things. If you got beat off ball, maybe Logan Amacher, swats a couple of shots, and we get away with, oh, that's great defense. Well, now we have to play more position defense, stay in front of people, and use our quickness to get our body in front of people rather than using our quickness to reach. So I think that's the adjustment, that we're a little bit of different team, that we don't have the beef or the height, but we have a little bit more quickness, a little bit more outside shooting, and then we got some aggressive players that we keep encouraging to attack the rim.
And you've had some good success in recent years. Has that been a carryover for your program as well?
It has. I think people, you set the standard, and we even talked to our JV team tonight. Our JV team is a really, really different mix this year. But we got to talk to our JV team that there's a standard here. This isn't lunchroom basketball. There are things that are going to be run here. This is what we need to do, and for you guys to be successful the next few years, you have to play basketball this way. Hustle stats, rebounds, defending, getting on the floor for loose balls. So I think our varsity has always done a good job of, number one, we're going to play hard and give our best effort. Okay, whatever happens at the game, happens at the game, but we're not going to get out-hustled or out-efforted in any part of the game. So I think that's a good standard that we've always set. And being a little bit deeper, you can kind of, kids love playing time and all that, but they all know that playing time's earned. I mean, for any coach in this room, we'll always say that.
Larry, how about some questions or comments you have for Coach Weiler?
You talked about these younger guys. How are they accepting that, where they have to be, where you set the bar?
I think they're accepting the challenge. I mean, going around town and we had an excellent team last year, and there's so many people that have said to me, oh, Coach, it's going to be rebuilding. Oh, you guys are going to be down. Oh, and you can't listen to that, because don't say the trigger on that so quick. See us first, because some of these guys have been chomping at the bit. For a few years ago, when you programs struggle, you have to play a lot of sophomores on varsity. And then people start thinking, oh, when a kid's a sophomore, they automatically get on the varsity. We've been fortunate enough to, maybe with Dominic Sherwood, Mason Gay, to wait till they're juniors. Well, they're chomping at the bit. They're like, hey, I had a great sophomore year on JV. Yes, you did, because we had a solid varsity team. Now they're saying, this is my time, and we're challenging them. They love to get coached hard. And that's fine. I love kids. We always say we're going to coach you hard because we care about you, and they're up to the challenge.
We've seen physical teams over the years from Owen Withey. We're going to see that again. I know you said speed and shooting from the outside.
We've really looked to run the last few years, outlet and go, but we still want to play that physical basketball. I don't know if we have an anchor in the middle that we can just say, this is our post-up guy, let's go, and just hang on him all the time. But we have some aggressive guards, short, fairly tall, thin, but they're aggressive down in the post. And if we have somebody command the post, it opens up our outside game. We're seeing that early in the year. Sometimes we have to remind the kids, the post is open, go there. And simple basketball moves, drop steps, duck unders, spins, get you simple points. And sometimes kids want flash and dash. Like Vincent Hankey scored 30 the first game. There was not one special move he made. Somebody drove, dumped it to him, he put it in. That's basketball. Get the easy shot.
Eastern Clorbelt this year, how do you think it's going to shape up?
Columbus is a team we're all chasing. But I tell you what, I've seen Niels will play. play on tape. I know Colby's tough. I mean, I hope that we're in the mix, but you got young, hungry teams, like Loyal that are coming out. I hope that we're going to be in the mix, but obviously with Columbus, I have to say this, is sometimes parents and coaches, we get into sports too much. And I know probably other coaches have said this, but thank God for Joe and his family that things turned out right. I mean, you have that talk with kids in practice, and, our kids aren't talking every night with Columbus kids. They talk a little bit, but, we hope for the best for Emmett. We hope for the best for Jen, but it really puts life in perspective. And I think as people in the school district sometimes too, we're banging our head against the wall about the little things, and then you hear something like that, and you're like, oh my God. Even our junior high program was supposed to play Columbus at night. Well, we weren't hearing the right information, which is okay because nobody jumped out early with rumors. So, I just wish them the best. So, and Columbus, they have an excellent team. Those guys know how to play, and they're going to be a challenge for us Friday night. So our kids are, if you can't get pumped up for Columbus, you probably shouldn't be out for basketball. So hopefully it'll be a great night, and it'll give us a measuring bar for us also.
That's Friday night, Columbus and Owen Withey at Columbus High School. Coach, good luck in that one and throughout the season.
You bet. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
Owen Withey High School basketball coach Russ Weiler joining us on our boys basketball preview program from Nuts Deep 2 in Marshfield. And back with more of our basketball coaches program in just a moment.
High school sports is being brought to you.
Hello, I'm Jenny Shaner, Realtor, Next Home Hub City. If you're a first-time home buyer or seller, or you've been around the block, because of my experience, I'm able to help you in the most efficient way. I'm a full-time, full-service realtor. I focus on my clients 100%. Let's work together as a team for a win in your next real estate transaction.
After a couple years of a job that doesn't fit, it's time for more money, more opportunity. That is where Mid-State Technical College comes in. Would cooking be a good fit? Try on a career in welding. Perhaps the outdoors suits you better. Or maybe helping people is a better fit. No matter your path, we've got cutting-edge classes with field-trained professionals and better tuition options, making Mid-State the perfect fit.
Wondering what to feed your team after work, the game, or this weekend? Chips Hamburgers in Marshfield and Wisconsin Rapids has tasty, char-broiled burgers for any hungry appetite. From the classic hamburger to the famous Chips Champ and everything in between, check out our daily specials. Stop inside to enjoy your meal with comfortable seating. See our complete menu of burgers, hot ham and cheese, hot beef, chicken and fish, fries, rings, curds, and ice cream served year-round. In a hurry? Same great menu in the drive-thru. Chips Hamburgers in Marshfield and Wisconsin Rapids.
Stratford Tiger basketball coach Kurt Schmidt. Coach, thanks for coming by and joining us in our program this evening.
Thanks for having us, guys.
And Coach, tell us first of all about the start of your season, what things have looked like for the Stratford Ball Club.
As you know, we kind of started a little bit late and trying to kind of get our bearings together here, get in shape quick. We started out 4-0, and then we played a real nice marathon team last night. It was actually quite a bit closer than what the final score was, but, played pretty well, played hard, didn't shoot very well, and, that was kind of the difference.
Well, tell us about some of the young men on your ball club this year and the roles they have for you this season.
I'll start out here with Caleb Wrench. He comes off the bench for us as a junior. Real nice ball handler, real heady player. Plays hard, works hard. A joy to have on the team. Just a nice guy to bring the ball up. And then Alec Chapel, nice, thick body, rebounds really, really well. Another junior on our team, and a lot of these guys are pretty inexperienced, so it's going to take a little bit of time to kind of teach them our nuances, but he does a good job playing defense on some bigger kids, rebounds, like I said, well, hustles hard. And then we have Reed Miller, that's a returning varsity player who starts for us. He's a junior, real quick, heady player. It's nice to have some of his experience back. And then we have another junior, Jet Shaner, who is a new player for us this year and rebounds well, real good defender, and real quick, great attitude type kid. And then one of our returners, Drew Bruzewitz, who started for us at point guard position last year, who's had a really nice start for us, is back. We expect great things out of him. And then we have one injury with Riley Spindler, who's a sophomore, who had been new this year. We were hoping for some things for him, one of our better shooters, but he'll be out until probably end of January. Brooks Vanderhoof, another sophomore who's playing more full-time JV but playing some varsity for us. But nice ball handler. Brady Berg, little taller kid who rebounds really well. Another sophomore, plays mainly JV, but he dresses for us, practices with us. And then we can get to some of our experienced guys, Peyton Glenn, who's coming back as one of our guards. Really good defender last night, rebounded really well, great attitude, great penetrator, like I said, and really good defender, just a super senior leader. And then we have Henry Zaleski coming back, another senior, who he plays our 5 spot. You know, we're not overly tall, but real good kid, works really, really hard, good touch around the basket. And then we have Caden Foster, who's a newcomer, another junior, who we expect, you know, to be able to hit some shots for us this year. A little longer kid, you know, real good attitude, good kid. Then we have Brady Schmidt, a returning starter, you know, who shoots the ball really, really well. Good attitude, good kid, works hard, you know, really enjoys the game of basketball. And then lastly, another senior we have, Brandon Gabeline, coming back. Works hard, is relentless at getting in the gym, working his tail off. Great kid. He helps us out around the post area. I know that's a list, but I don't want to forget anybody because that's embarrassing if that happens. So I apologize if I look like I was reading off a teleprompter.
Well, that's okay because you have a lot of good ball players there. But, you know, you have some experienced ball players back, but not a large amount. Tell us about how that affects the ball club this year.
Well, it affects it greatly, especially when you start late. You know, we didn't get a scrimmage. And I know I'm a broken record, but a lot of people don't understand it. You miss your first week. You don't have the scrimmage. So now, you know, I was talking to Coach Geyer. You know, he kind of thought we might, you know, postpone our game with him. I'm like, we got to get started. You know, we haven't had a scrimmage. It's non-conference. And so now when teams start throwing stuff at you that you don't think you had enough time to work on or you haven't quite touched on yet, and you don't get your set plays in, you have to learn on the fly. And a lot of these kids, the eyes are pretty big. Like, what in the world is this concept? You know, things aren't natural unless you really practice it and cause some repetition for it. But if you coach on the run or on the fly, it's a lot tougher to get results. That's why, you know, I've been very, very proud of the kids for starting out pretty well, considering the fact. And a lot of it is they've worked really hard. They've had great attitudes. But, you know, the 4 seniors, I should say, you know, really help, you know, as far as, you know, trying to lead, setting a good example. This is how we do things. And I think, but the juniors, because they've had such a good attitude, and in a couple of the sophomores there, it's been smoother. But it takes time. It's just like last night, we had to make some adjustments, and then you could see that things started to kind of like the experience kind of showed up. The inexperience, I should say, showed up when I was rotating different guys in.
How about some areas where this ball club looks like they could be strong this year?
Well, you know, it's a tricky one because, you know, when we played Athens, I think we were 12 for 24 at the three-point line. And that's pretty amazing. You know, we shot 50%. And it's like we had wide open looks. We hit them. I think we shot pretty well overall against a couple of the other teams. And we've been able to take care of the ball. We've been able to play pretty good defense. But, you know, free throws were good, but then last night we just did not even come close to shooting well, and I just felt we were rushing our shots. It definitely was kind of a big game, and marathons long, you know, they're long and athletic, so they cause a lot of that. But we had some wide open looks, but sometimes kids think it's not as wide open as what they're used to, so that has something to do with it. But as far as strengths, I mean, there's athleticness, athleticism, I should say, to play good defense, but you still got to put the ball in the hole. I mean, I think it was 7 point, 6, 7, 8 point game with 7 minutes to go last night, and then the wheels kind of fell off because we just couldn't score. We kept coming down and hitting the iron, and they came down quickly, and they would score, and there'd be fouls, and all of a sudden it was a 20-point game just in the snap of a finger. So, got to be able to score.
Okay, let's bring in Larry Heiser for some comments. Larry?
What do you feel, Coach, is the challenge as a coach now trying to get things going with your team? You mentioned not a lot of time in the beginning of the season there.
Well, you go with your absolute basics, like what's our default as far as, what's our framework, what offense the kids that we run, our motion or whatever, and you got to make sure you don't put too much in because, like we had, I think, 3 inbounds plays, maybe 1 or 2 sets, and then we didn't remember them yet, because part of it is it's easier if a kid memorizes one spot on an inbounds play or set play. But because you don't know, everybody's seems like they're the same height, same kind of skill level. So then you have certain matchups you want to put on the floor, but now you run an inbound play, but they're used to being at this spot, so
yeah.
So you don't have as many, and you're trying to get them to learn multiple spots. And that's the same thing with offensive set plays. And in zones, we do a little differently than man, where you've got to have 2 people in the zone that, offense that they do stuff. I don't want to get too technical, but nevertheless, it's a challenge to kind of get them ready. And the emphasis has been fundamentals. So if you spend too much time on fundamentals, you're not learning X's and O's well enough. So it's a pretty tough balancing act, actually.
We talked a little bit with Coach Weinferner about that Merriwood South Conference and how tough it is and how that gets you ready for tournament play coming through that tough schedule. Do you feel the same way with that Merriwood South?
Absolutely. I mean, Auburndale played in the sectional final game, and this isn't a criticism. This tells you how difficult the conference is, and he finished 3rd place. And that's not a criticism.
Right.
We're friends, so that just tells you everything has to go well every night for you. And the fact that he's 1 game away from the state tournament, he was 3rd place in the conference, tells you right there. I mean, Newman was state champion in Division 5, and they ended up, I think, 2nd place, and then you had Marathon, and that's always a dogfight between those 2 teams and us. And, Edgar has a very mature team this year. Senior dominated, good athletes, Assumption's up and coming. I mean, you can't sleep on them at all. And Newman lost a lot of people, so that this is, not quite as strong as a team as they've had, but normally it's tough. And then you got to go play the North, and North has some good, basketball teams there too, but the South is just an absolute beast. It really is.
Gene?
How about some words on your coaching staff for this year?
Well, I have Coach Bill Knetter, who's my JV coach. He's been with me, I think, about 18, 19 years. He's a Hall of Famer, was head coach at Marathon Girls for many, many years. I had Coach Heckel for the last 7 years, and he got a AD job at DC Everest Middle School, so his schedule doesn't permit him to help us this year. And Derek Austin, former player of mine, I love having former players help because they get it. He's been with me now, I think, about 6, 7 years or so, maybe even a little longer. He's our JV2 coach. So, and now, my oldest son's come back from college for about a month, and he's helping me just for the month. He's going into education, and this is good learning experience for him. But this was his first practice tonight. That helped a lot. So, and then my middle school coaches, Travis Gra and Scott Bauman, do a real nice job.
All right, Coach, thanks for coming by. And you're playing Edgar on Friday night.
That's correct.
Another tough one in the Merriwood South, so good luck in that ball game and throughout the season.
All right, thank you very much.
Stratford Tiger basketball coach Kurt Schmidt with us on our boys basketball preview program from Nuts Deep 2 in Marshfield. Back with more of our program following these messages.
High school sports is being brought to you.
At the Granite Shop, we take great pride in what we do. We offer high-quality natural stone granite as well as a huge selection of man-made stone. With full slabs as well as a variety of partial remnants, you'll have no problem finding the stone that was meant for you. Our high-end, high-quality granite, quartz, and marble is perfect for any kitchen, bathroom, or remodel need. We are locally owned and operated on County Road C near Stratford. We service all of Wisconsin.
From humble beginnings in 1904, the Wheatrick family has grown Grassland Dairy Products into one of the largest processors of butter in the nation. Based in Greenwood, Wisconsin, the family and its hundreds of employees continue their pursuit of providing high-quality products that can proudly be served in restaurants and homes across America.
For over 50 years, the Dental Clinic of Marshfield has served the area with the talent and expertise of big city dentistry with a hometown feel. With our multi-specialty staff and board-certified periodontist, orthodontist, and pediatric dentist, Dental Clinic of Marshfield has solutions for our patients of all ages from 1 to 100. We take pride in being in-network with an array of insurance companies to meet the needs of our community and our patients. No matter what your dental need, the Dental Clinic of Marshfield will be there for you.
92.3 FM, WOSQ, Spencer Marshfield, and WOSQFM.com, and also on ZaleskiSports.com. With Larry Hazer and Jason Zaleski, I'm Gene Delisio at Nuts Deep 2 on South Central Avenue in Marshfield. Our next guest is the boys basketball coach at Neillsville High School, Mike Geyer. And Coach, thanks for coming by and joining us this evening.
Thanks for having us. It's a great night to talk about basketball.
And since we can honestly say that Larry Hazer is more of an expert on Neillsville basketball than I am as the voice of the Warriors, let's have Larry start you out and have some questions and comments from Larry on Neillsville basketball. Larry, go ahead.
With us here tonight. Maybe talk a little bit about Neillsville and what you've seen from your team this year. I know you've had your top scorer graduate last year, so how are things been going so far?
Yeah, learning how to play in a new role for everybody. So it's been some bumps in the road, but the attitudes from our kids have been great. I'm proud of the no quit attitudes they've had. The team aspect of everything in wanting to work together to get back to our winning ways, and just their ability to grow together. They have a relentless attitude to get the train back on the tracks to start winning again. But as I tell them all the time, we have a larger purpose in our program than the wins and losses, and obviously wins are fun, but we're trying to create good men in Neillsville and with the boys coming through our program, and we want to stand on our 2 feet and fight and not make many excuses. So, wins, losses, whatever, we have a great group of boys. They're a phenomenal bunch of human beings, and they're a joy to be with every day, and that's what I'm most proud of. And I have no doubt that by the end of the season we'll be there, and people aren't going to want to play Neillsville when they see us in the playoffs, and that's always our goal. So proud of these guys for who they are and the work they come to do every day.
When somebody looks at your roster, they see a lot of seniors on that roster, but a little bit of inexperience on the roster as well this year.
Yeah, with the senior class, you think of experience, but a lot of these kids didn't start playing, in a lot of them until 7th grade. Some of them last year came out for the first time, they just didn't get a whole great youth experience of going to the tournaments. And I'm with my 2nd grader and 4th grader now. We're playing, and those guys didn't get that experience. They didn't have a lot of time. We went to a tournament this summer where the varsity kids were with, and my 4th graders were at the same tournament. And, I had a lot of seniors say, man, we're jealous of what these kids get to do. We never got to do that. So it was cool to see. But, so we're trying to grow. There's a lot of just little basketball things they missed from not playing youth basketball that we're trying to teach on the fly. and while still trying to be competitive at the varsity level where you have to do some more higher level things. So, it's a fun challenge. And again, they're such a great group of kids. They love each other. With Andrew Hazer being really our only sophomore that gets a lot of minutes, they've kind of adopted him right in with that group. He fits right in with them. He doesn't have his driver's license yet, so they'll pick him up and they take him everywhere he needs to go.
Do.
Yeah, right. You know that. So they just surround themselves. The other thing I want to point out is my job in teaching. I work with a lot of challenging kids, and almost all of those kids come into my room and have a great relationship with some pretty difficult, challenging kids. And those guys, my students look up to those guys. They take time out of their day to make them feel important. And so again, the basketball experience isn't there, but their life experience really is, and I'm proud of that. So
we look at this team. A lot of guys get minutes for your ball club this year, as opposed to maybe some other years where you had maybe a starting five that played a lot of minutes, but a lot of guys coming in and out of the bench for you this year.
Yeah, and I think that was back to the philosophy of we want to be our best team in February, March. And, I said that it's really hard to determine who's better than who on our team, because on any given day, Andrew will come in and have 16, 17 points one game, and someone else will come and someone else have 0 that game, and the next game Andrew will have 4 points, and the next kid will have 12, 14. So I think giving them the opportunity to see who we can count on, by the end of Christmas break, you want to have your solid 8, 9 kid rotation, but I wanted to give them all the equal chance to prove it. They all come to practice and work. So, yeah, we've been platooning 5 and 5 and just seeing what we can get out of kids, and seeing what our rotation might look like at the end of the season. But they've seemed to enjoy that. They seem to, in practice, we can split them up with this group versus this group, and whoever wins the last challenge of practice gets to start the next day. And it's been fun in that they've taken it on. It's made practices competitive, and so we get to see a lot of kids and what they can do and what they can't do, and we got to make some coaching decisions from there as we get later in the season.
I was just going to say, with that many seniors, it sounds like they're accepting the fact that, some are going to play more, some are not, because, as seniors, you all think that
Right.
you're entitled to something.
Yeah,
more than
Stratford was our first game. We platooned like that, and a guy like Bryce Erickson, who started, I think, for 3 years now. When Drew Brown left, I think Bryce was like, okay, I think it's my turn to take the controls. And he went from playing, I think, all game versus Alma Center to half a game at Stratford, and he said, "Oh man, I loved that." So, yeah, they like seeing their buddies play. They're in all 3 sports together. Right. They play football and basketball and baseball together, and they're super excited to see their buddies succeed. And so sometimes that means watching on the bench and watching them do their thing. They enjoy that too. So again, I have gotten no complaints about playing time from these kids. They're just wanting to figure it out, and they have a great trust in me that we will. So I better not let them down. So.
Has it been a tough thing to figure out for you as a coach? I mean, with all these seniors?
Yeah, it is and it isn't. We kind of know the strengths and weaknesses of each kid, and it's just putting those pieces together of, we have a lot of kids that we've determined some roles, like you have to drive and kick to, we don't have, like Marshfield Columbus last night, they can drive and kick to anyone, including on the last guy on their bench, and he'll hit a 3. Well, we have to drive and kind of find the right 2 guys that can make the 3, which makes our decision-making that much tougher. So playing together with those groups is a little bit tougher, but again, the more we play, the more we get after it in practice, the more they're figuring that out, and it's fun to see the growth. Again, when we've had some really, really good teams, I can remember back to Alex King's senior year, it was hard to see the growth every day because they were just pretty good all the time. These kids, you really get to see it every day. They figure out something new, the light bulb moments, and those things are fun for a coach. And so we'll just continue to grow together, and I really have a lot of faith in these guys figuring it out by the end of the year.
You say needing to grow. What are some things you need to work on? to
well,
improve?
you know, one interesting thing is we said we're going to have to learn how to win close games, and our first 2 games of the season were 2-point games, and we haven't learned how to win those yet. So I would have liked a few more practices to work on that. But you know, it's who wants the ball at the end of the game. In the first 2 games, we didn't have a lot of guys that did. So who wants the ball and who is going to make free throws for us? Who's going to inbound the ball and make good decisions for us? So those types of things are what we're going to have to grow with of situational basketball. Again, we figured out kind of who we want shooting the threes, who we've got driving the lane and kicking. Although we want everyone to do that, we have to kind of take them where they're at and put it in a position to be successful. And again, we always tell the kids that our job as coaches is to put them in a position to win. And I think besides Marathon, we were in some positions to win most games. Even last night, you know, against Columbus, we got down big. We put ourselves back in a position to take it. And as the season progresses, I think we figure out a way to get on the winning side of those things.
Gene?
Coach, just one thing I want to ask you is you mentioned a couple of guys you've had in your past, and it seems like in recent years, Neillsville's had a really standout ball player. You mentioned Alex King, you had Braden Trunkle, you had Drew Brown. What's it been like to have ball players like that involved in your program?
Well, those guys make you a better coach in a hurry. They've really done a nice job for my win-loss record. No, they really made it. They made the game easy, and I think our kids are learning this year when a guy like Andrew Brown had the ball. All of a sudden, their three-point shots were a lot more open last year because it required 5 guys in the lane to stop Drew. And so he could kick it out to anyone, and they were standing wide open. And this year, teams can play us a little more matched up because they don't have to leave on a lot of guys to show help. So, and the other thing is, you know, in the last few years, we didn't have a press break. Our press break was give it to those guys, they'll break the press. And now we have to really work together on breaking a press, and everything becomes a little harder. So they make the game easy not only for me, but for their teammates and everyone else. So they've been a blessing, but all the kids have. I've been blessed with some really nice kids in Neillsville, and they're all doing really nice things now in the world, and I've been proud of them.
All right, Coach, thanks for coming by, and good luck this season.
Thank you
Thanks,
for having
Coach.
me.
Neillsville High School basketball coach Mike Geyer joining us on our boys basketball preview program from Nuts Deep 2 in Marshfield. We'll come back with more in just a moment.
High school sports is being brought to you courtesy.
Bauer & Fine has been based in Marshfield since 1955. And if you're in business that long, you're obviously doing many things right. We always focus on selling world-class products, backing it up with world-class customer support.
Working with Bauer & Fine Business Technologies has been a pleasure. We have staff on call that we can call if we ever have issues, and the printer usability has been really easy, user-friendly.
Give us a call, visit our website. We'd be happy to come in, talk to you. Maybe there's a way we can help you save some money and work more efficiently.
Fleet Farm has everything you need for every season of life. From tending the vegetable garden season to planting 100 acres of crop season. Fleet Farm is your one-stop shop. Whether it's strawberry jam season, cook your walleye season, or his first set of wheels season. Fleet Farm is built for every season. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
I had an employee at once ask me to prioritize family, faith, and business, and I put them in that order in particular. For each one of our employees, it's family first. You do what is best for you and your family. Then the rest of it will take care of itself. It's about making sure you make the best decisions for you and your family.
At Spencer High School this season, Coach, thanks for coming by and welcome to our program.
Thank you. Thank you.
You and I talked several weeks ago about the position, but fill us in, if you would, once again on your background, what brings you to that coaching job at Spencer.
Well, I had coached at Emmanuel Lutheran in Marshfield for probably 8 years and was also athletic director there. And my wife teaches in Spencer, and she had mentioned a middle school opening 3 years ago, I guess it was now. And I thought it'd be a good foot in the door, so I went and took the middle school job there. And then the JV position opened up. The JV coach ended up moving out of state, so I was given that position. And then the varsity job opened up, so I was hired in there. So that's my background there.
And has the varsity position been as what you expected it to be after coaching on the lower levels for many years?
Yes and no. It's a little more demanding, I think. I find myself watching lots and lots of video and film and practice planning and all that good stuff. So it's a little more demanding, I guess, but I enjoy it. So.
Well, tell us about the start of your season, how things have looked for your Spencer Ball Club so far this year.
Well, it's been an adjustment, I think. We didn't have very many returning starters. We had Sam Beslick as our only returning starter, actually. We're pretty young and experienced. I think the players are getting used to the speed of the game at the varsity level. Our first game was against Marathon, number 2 ranked team in D4. Played them well for probably the first 8 minutes, and then struggled after some adjustments were made, and we turned the ball over. And that's kind of been our season, is turning the ball over. So we made some adjustments in our last game here against Loyal. Only had 13 turnovers, which was a lot better than the previous 4 games. So we played a lot better, but still looking to find the right group on the court, I guess, and the right group coming off the bench. So.
And you mentioned Sam is back. Tell us about what he does for your ball club this year.
Oh, it's probably easier to tell you what he doesn't do. He's good inside. He's good outside offensively. Passes the ball well. Handles the ball well. Rebounds very good too. So he really does it all. We're just trying to find the right role players to be on the court with him at the same time. And the other thing too is just learning how to win at this level, I think. We didn't win very many games last year. I think we were 7 wins on the season. So there's games that we should be winning that we're not. And I think it's just building the culture of the program up so that the expectation is there with the kids that that they're going to win.
I wonder how many people understand what a challenge that is for a coach, because they may think that you just go out there, play the game, dribble and shoot and pass, things like that. But there becomes a mindset, I guess, in a ball game, and it's close, the game's on the line, where players have to react in a certain way to give them that victory, and maybe that is difficult sometimes for a young man to learn.
Yeah, I think Coach Schmidt said it earlier. When you're actually coaching on the fly with a young team, an inexperienced team, it's deer in headlights sometimes. So we're working on it. We're working on it.
Well, you mentioned Sam. How about some other young men on your ball club this year?
Well, we have a foreign exchange student who's a senior, Davide Camelo. Very good ball player, good defender, finishes well, can shoot. Excited to have him on the team. We have a few juniors. Reed Connect is one of our captains. Very good defender. He's made some adjustments on his shot and has been shooting very good from outside now. We got Drake Johnson, Madden Prabilski. Madden is another captain. Madden was hurt for the first 2 games. I think he played like a minute and got hurt on one of the games. So we haven't really played many games with him. He played against Loyal last night. Had a pretty good game. He had 5 steals, 10 points. Did a nice job. Like I said, we only had 13 turnovers against Loyal, so that was good. Drake was a big part of the Loyal game too. Didn't turn the ball over much at all. Had a couple big shots. Wes Neiman is a freshman who's been getting some minutes on the varsity level. I didn't know what to expect at the beginning of the season. I know he knows the game. I thought the pace of the game would be a little difficult for him, but he's been getting minutes. We've had injuries, like I said. Reed's got some bad ankles right now, so he hasn't played the last couple of games. Brecken Miller is a sophomore. Does a really nice job getting to the rim. He's growing game by game. Mathers McCone is another sophomore, puts in some good time for us as well. I think our biggest issue's probably been defense with a lot of the younger guys too. Logan Ehlert is a senior, hasn't gotten a lot of time at the varsity level yet. We got Carter Lipke. It's been difficult with the matchups we've had to find him some good playing time. Austin Lalakata, he is a junior as well. He's been playing some JV and varsity both. Good outside shooter. Got to get him playing better defense. And I could say that about the whole team, really. Let's see. I know I'm forgetting somebody. I don't know. I'm forgetting somebody. I know I am.
Well, it'll come to you probably.
I should have took some notes from Coach Schmidt and brought a list of players.
Coach, how about the number situation in your program and how you're trying to improve that?
Well, there was some talk earlier about multi-sport athletes, and I know our principal, Jason Gorst, and our athletic director, Nick Begood, would prefer players playing multiple sports. We don't tend to get too many of those out for basketball. I think the only football player we have out for basketball is Carter Lipke. I don't think there's another one. Wes, I guess. A lot of our juniors play baseball, though, so we get some multi-sport athletes there, I guess. I do feel like a multi-sport athlete, that it helps in terms of competition. But for whatever reason, we don't get a lot of our better athletes for football that come out. So,
Larry, how about some questions or comments you have for Coach Jennings?
You mentioned coming up through the ranks. You were 8th grade or middle school coach. Then you're JV. Have some of these kids gone through the program with you now as you've moved up here?
Yeah, actually the freshmen and sophomores have.
Okay.
So,
has that made it easier for you, or?
Well, this year we have a completely new offense that we put in, kind of a hand-picked offense based on the talent that I evaluated. We did not run that in middle school. Yeah, I think it's a relationship is there, so I think that there's trust both ways with the kids that came up with me when I was coaching middle school. And I mean, I've been a part of the varsity. I was assisting at the varsity level when I coached middle school there.
Oh, okay.
Clint Neiman asked me to come up and help assist. So I was assistant that first year, and then JV and varsity assistant the second year. So yeah.
East Cloverbell, how do you see it?
This is going to sound like a broken record, but Columbus, they're always difficult to beat. They're a very good team, ranked, I believe they're still ranked number 2 in D5. Neilsville is always tough. They're coached well. Owen Withy's coached well. They lost a lot, but I think their JV was pretty good last year. I think Coach Weiler was talking about the pace of the game again. You know, kids are going to make the adjustment eventually, and they're 4-1, so doing well. Colby, they lost a lot last year, but well coached against, and they're going to be good. We haven't had as good a season as I had hoped for to start, but I think once March comes, I mean,
what do you think your team needs to do to improve as the season goes along?
Play with confidence.
Okay.
Play some defense. Our defensive rotations haven't been all that great. We play really good stretches at times, and we play really bad stretches at times. Taking care of the ball has been an issue. You know, we're messing with the lineup a little bit here and there to take care of that some, hopefully. So I would say those things.
You know, I've seen some coaches on the sideline, like Coach Geyer and Coach Schmidt and Coach, well, there's a few of them that have come through. They're very vocal on the sideline. What's your demeanor as a head coach?
Well, I think they can hear me. Yeah.
Because you seem kind of laid back, so I was just wondering if maybe.
Yeah, sometimes they gotta hear it a little more, I guess. But,
okay, all right.
You know, they come out of the game. I like to try and coach them. You know, I don't like substituting just because somebody makes a mistake. I don't think that's fair to the players. But when they do come out, I think it's good for them to understand, you know, what the expectation was. I don't want them to play with fear, like, oh, if I make a mistake, coach is going to take me out.
Yeah.
Players going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's what they learn from those mistakes and how they handle it in the future that matter. So.
Okay. Gene?
Coach, how about your coaching staff for this year?
It's pretty thin. I have my assistant coach is also our JV coach in Spencer. It's Ben Martin. He was the middle school coach at Owen Withee last year, I believe. And that's it. I wish I had 4 coaches to lean on. But we'll make do with what we have. And Ben's been a great addition to the team. Puts in a lot of time and effort and has some good advice. So I appreciate that.
Since you're not a teacher at Spencer, does that make it a bit more difficult to kind of pump up the program, not being in the hallway with the kids?
I guess in a perfect world, it would be nice to be at the school. I'm actually a realtor with Next Home Hub City. The job itself has allowed me to coach my kids growing up through the middle school ages and whatnot, and be available, and then be at Spencer to coach when I'm needed and whatnot. Ben is actually a teacher at the school. So that's nice to have him there. I think the kids have someone that he can go to there too, and I often get messages from the kids throughout the day and evening, night, asking questions on things and whatnot. So I don't think that there's a huge disconnect by not being at the school, but in a perfect world, I think it would be nice to be around the kids during the day too. So.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming by, and good luck this season.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Spencer High School basketball coach Charles Jennings with us on our boys basketball preview program from Nuts Deep 2 in Marshfield. We'll come back with more of our program in just a moment.
High school.
Good day. My name is Ken Hyman, and welcome to Nasonville Dairy here in central Wisconsin, Marshfield, Wisconsin, as a matter of fact. We make a lot of different cheeses. We make cheddar, Colby, Monterey, Farmer's Cheese, Pizza Cheese, Quesa Blanca, Quesa de Fir, Seco, Parm, Romano, Asiago, Fontina, Feta Caseri, Caflateri, Cafla Graviera, 20 different flavors of Monterey, as well as making Edam, Gouda, and Munster. And the cheese be with you.
Let your job journey begin at Express Employment Professionals. Find hundreds of employers looking for a candidate like you, all in one place at one time. And let Express Employment help connect you with your future career. With locations in Stevens Point, Wausau, Marshfield, and Medford, you'll find local jobs right in your community, including direct hire and evaluation to hire opportunities. Express Employment specializes in light industrial, skilled trades, professional, and office careers. Begin your job journey today with Express Employment Professionals at expresspros.com.
Scotty's Pizza and Chicken, how can I help you?
Scotty's Pizza and Chicken has been voted best pizza in Marshfield 15 years in a row. Scotty's Pizza and Chicken is ready for your call now at 715-384-8118. Choose Drunken Chicken, BLT, Western, Mac and Cheese, Sweet Chili Chicken, and more. Plus, Scotty's has roasted chicken, fish, sandwiches, salads, and desserts. Scotty's Pizza and Chicken, 715-384-8118 and Scotty'sPizza.com.
Scotty's Pizza and Chicken, how can I help you?
Sports.com and on Sports Radio 92.3 FM, WOSQ. Our next guest is the boys basketball coach at Loyal High School, Brandon DeSmet. Coach, thanks for coming by and welcome to our program for this evening.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here and talk some Clover Belt basketball.
Well, good. Well, first of all, let's talk about your ball club in the Clover Belt, the Loyal Greyhounds, and what things look like for your ball club this season.
Well, similar to what a lot of our other coaches have been talking about today, it's growing every single day, every opportunity we have, practice. In terms of Loyal specifically, we're really young this year. We've got, at any given time in a varsity basketball game, we've played 6 different sophomores. We've got 4 seniors on our team, 2 juniors. One of our juniors who started all last year for us is out for the year with a back injury. Dealing with that and trying to find a way to replace that and going through those types of things. But in terms of our program, we're young. We've got 23 kids out, 10 sophomores, 7 freshmen, and a couple seniors, a couple juniors, and we're growing every day. So it's been a good experience so far this year.
Well, what's it like been working with such a young group of ball players this year?
Well, it's been good because they're real coachable and real moldable, and they're like sponges, listening and growing, and you know, just every day they're taking something in. So that's also an experience too, because it feels like sometimes you're saying some of the same things every couple practices or every game, but just in terms of their sponge mentality, taking everything in and growing from it, it's been really good.
Well, say, tell us about some of the young men on your ball club and what their roles are for you this year.
Well, one of our, I guess I'll talk a couple of our seniors quickly. Like Jacob Schill has been a guy who started 2 years for us now, played as a sophomore as well. So he's been playing varsity basketball for 3 years, and his role is going to be a really good shooter for us and help stretch the floor. He's got a really nice stroke, and him finding confidence in that is really important for us. We've got another senior that's also played a lot of minutes, and that was Isaac Jacoby, who's back this year in the post for us. And a couple of those younger guys that played last year for us as freshmen, now sophomores, are players like Reed Stiglitz and Kane Tofar and Bryce Deegan. And both those guys are starting for us right now. All 3 of those guys are starting for us, and they've been, each one of those at any given time now this year has been a leading scorer for us. And like last night, I think all 3 of them hit double digits in our scorebook, along with Jacob. So those are a lot of our younger guys that are growing right now and making plays.
All right, tell us about some things this crew can do for you pretty well on the floor this year.
Well, probably this is my 4th year now, Laura. I think this might be the most athletic group I've had in terms of height, length, and ability to make plays, especially some plays off the drive, off the dribble. So that's been something that's been really exciting to work with. And with that, that's probably the biggest thing this year that's been kind of standing out, is that athleticism and them starting to use that on the court.
As you mentioned, 4 years you've been as the Loyal High School basketball coach. Tell us about some things you've been doing over these last several years to really bring that program back.
Well, first and foremost, I guess the most important thing that we talk about every single day is competitiveness and the energy level that you bring to practice. And no matter what athletic ability you have, whatever talents you have, we've always asked, demanded, or expected that when you get on the court, you have high energy and competitiveness. No matter what that is it, especially in the defensive end. If you can bring that every single day, you're going to have opportunities in our basketball program. And seniors that have gone before now and that come back to our games, they did a great job establishing that foundation. And that is something that we've just continued to build on. And that's probably the most important thing that we've built in terms of that, is that competitiveness, that energy. Other things, though, too, is that as players go through now and they get through 4 years with me, and hopefully they become fundamentally sound players, that they can make plays with the basketball, off the dribble, through the pass, and things like that, but being sound, knowledgeable basketball players.
When you're dealing with a young roster like you have this year, are there some of those things that you really have to take some time to teach this season?
This year especially, what I've noticed, I think more than what I've had to, is just some things defensively that we've been working to figure out, and especially guarding guys off the drive, which isn't always easy, especially when you're thinking about teams like Colby, for example, from last week, or Almond Bancroft with TJ Lamb earlier in the year, or looking down the road with Columbus and different things like that. Guarding guys off the drive is one of the things we're really going to have to stress and work on, and finding proper gaps and help and things like that.
Larry, how about some questions or comments you have for Coach DeSmet?
Are there any things, Coach, that you're doing differently now from a coaching standpoint with this team as compared to other teams that you've had?
There might be some different things we've worked on. One of the things specifically is because we've had some things where we're trying to work, getting things like guarding guys off the drive more, different things. We've actually, and with a little more length than we've had in the past, we've actually started trying to find ways to sprinkle in a zone here or there, just give different looks. And we haven't run a lot of that in the past since I've been here. This year, we've run it a little more. So that's something that's been a little bit different. Other than that, I mean, some of the same concepts, same drills, ideas, and things like that are still consistent within our program.
You're off the Joe Konechny coaching tree.
Yep.
How much of that do you bring with you now in your 4 years with Loyal?
That's a great question. He does so many great things as a coach. Just in terms of his ability to connect with players, his relationship, just I guess speaking on a personal level with me when I was there. I graduated in 2009, and even after I left Columbus, his caring for you and wanting to know how you're doing, and that stuff in itself is just so much more important than anything in basketball he does. And I appreciate that relationship the most. And it's something that I look to try to do with my players now as a coach every single day. And that I've loved the most about him, and I appreciate and respect the most. In terms of basketball things, he's got that. He's got the speed and the press and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't always suit some of our players and molds at this point, maybe down the road. I would love to be able to get up and down as fast as he does. And it's fun watching that and seeing how they can do that so well. But too, just like what he does every single day in practice, he preached fundamentals. And if you can dribble, pass, and shoot offensively, you're going to find ways onto the court combined with great energy. And he did such a great job of developing players. And trying to develop players is a really important goal.
And one of the things I know he's done is a big involvement in the youth basketball. Do you do that as well up in Loyal?
Yeah, so we've got basketball camps all summer. Not all summer. We got one basketball camp a week. Not a week. 1 week in the summer, I should say. And then in terms of that, we've got 4th and 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade teams that are going to different tournaments. And in that respect, we do have pretty good numbers in our youth right now. Our 4th grade team has got 9 kids. Our 5th grade team is sitting at 11 or 12. 6th grade's got 7 or 8. 8th grade this year had 10 or 11 out. And our 7th grade's a little smaller boy group, so there's only 5 kids in that class. But that is so important, and he does a great job with that. And developing that is really important.
Do you get your hand into the youth? I mean, do you tell the coaches, hey, this is what I want to see? Or
Well, there's different things we talk about. And most important, I think, that I talk with those guys about and that they need to know is first of all, we're trying to teach a love of the game. Get those kids to love basketball and look forward to playing the sport. But then also, most importantly, and what Columbus does such a great job of is when those kids get to high school, all of them can dribble, all of them can pass, all of them can cut and move around the floor. And that kind of stuff in a game is so important if you can develop that at a young age. So however you do that within your youth kids, as long as you are stressing those things is the most important thing.
I know when I was coaching the youth, I asked the 7th grade coach when my son was in 6th grade, I said, what do you want me to do for him to get him ready for you? He goes, as long as they can pass, shoot, and dribble, I can take care of the rest.
Right.
So
that is something like when I was in Stevens Point that Coach Anderson would talk about with his youth coaches is that when they come to high school, we'll help teach them motion offense and concepts. We'll get them to play really hard defense, and we'll get them to get into gaps and teach them those basketball concepts. But if you can get them to love the sport, want to play basketball, but then fundamentally be good players, that's the most important thing at the youth level.
Where do you see Loyal fitting in the conference season this year?
Well, I see us being a really competitive team. I see us growing every single day. We're sitting 1-1 right now in the conference, losing to Colby last week, who's got a really nice upper class. Richard Streveler is a really good player. And then we played Spencer in a tough game last night, and Spencer, and we're able to come away with a win there. I see us being competitive and giving our best shot to every single team we play, and really looking forward to see where we end up at the end of the year. And seeing, I love the most, I think, about the basketball season is that you get a second chance at every team. So it's cool. You see where you are that first game against them, but now let's see where we were able to take it that next time we play them. how we've grown, how we've changed and gotten better.
What are some of the keys you're going to look for as you move on to be successful?
For our team, I think one of the important keys is well, I talked a little bit about is their defensive intensity. Our defensive intensity has got to grow, and that'll come. Our positioning and our concepts will get there. I know that will as these kids play more. But I think most importantly for our team going forward is developing a confidence and a belief in themselves and the teammates, and letting that shine and letting that show on the court, because they all are capable players. They're going to be really great basketball players as they keep growing and getting older, and as soon as they really truly believe that and feel it, and that's going to be really important for us.
I know that sophomore class, they're a pretty good athletic class here in Loyal.
Yes, it's like I mentioned, it's the most length I've seen walk through a gym in Loyal, and in size and height, and again growing into that ability and getting those players now when they're younger becoming fundamentally sound and believing in themselves, so that as they grow older and they get to be juniors and seniors, they've been through the trials of a season and they grow from that.
That's what's always fun as a coach, is to be able to watch them grow.
Yes, that is
as
absolutely.
they go on.
And we talk about that at the beginning of the year, that a basketball season, I'm also a math teacher in Loyal, so we like to talk about linear equations and things go at a straight line. We'd love it for it to be just perfect. But when you got almost a 4-month season and you're working with high school kids, it's not perfect, and you're going to have ups and downs, and you're going to have trials and different things that grow. An example I like to give is, like last year, the national champion was UConn. And I think at one point in time in December and January, they lost 4 or 5 straight conference games.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they get to the NCAA tournament, and I don't think they had a game within 15. And that's a great example for kids to know and see that things just don't go perfectly in a season, and how you respond to it and how you grow from it is crucial.
Coach, how about your coaching staff for this year?
So we've got same guys that were there last year. We've got Louis Stiglitz, who is coaching our JV team and has been there since I've been here, and was there before I was there, and he's been there for a while now. And then we also have Logan Fulweiler, who was there last year with us. He teaches in our school science, and he's a great addition and help. He's a younger guy, and kids can relate to him. Then we got some other guys that now are moving back into the area, guys like Cameron Brousseau. He's coming to practices now every single day that he can, and he's working with our guys. I know guys like Riley Geiger is looking to get back involved, and Trevin Wilkie, and the Bogdanovich boys, when they're back in town, they come back. And it's really good having that presence, because all these guys watched them.
Yeah.
They watched them for so many years, and then they see them come back, and they see how much, what's really important, which is awesome, is they see how much they care still about the program. And they are happy when they see those guys succeed, and these guys take what they say in, and that's really cool. So having those 2 guys, Louis and Logan, are really important in helping our program, but then getting those other guys in and around as much as we can. It's not easy. It's been good.
All right. Coach, thanks for coming by and joining us tonight, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Loyal High School basketball coach Brandon DeSmet with us on our boys basketball preview program from Nuts Deep 2 in Marshfield. Back with more of our program in just a moment.
High school sports is being brought to you.
Hi, I'm Malachi from Northside Computers and Cellular. We are currently offering a great savings of 2 phone lines for $50, and it includes unlimited talk, text, and data. Stop down at Northside Computers and Cellular at 907 South Central Avenue, Marshfield, to see how you can save on your internet, cable, and phone bills. We have the best providers under one roof.
2 phone lines, $50. Get mobile, internet, and television all under one roof. Northside Computer and Cellular of Marshfield.
We know how a bank should be at Partners Bank. Banking should be easier. Treating our customers as valued and important. Services should be better with online and mobile banking and locations close to where you live and work. Loans should be quicker, and we make all decisions locally with years of experience helping people with their financing needs. Partners Bank, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender.
Why work for Staub Construction?
Everybody around you is just family.
Everybody seems to bond together and get along good, and
they, I believe, truly care about their employees.
Staub has a great benefits package.
Staub is an employee-owned company that puts a large emphasis on work-life balance.
And everybody wants to see everybody succeed. It's a good place to work.
Join the team at Staub Construction. Apply now at staubco.com.
In Marshfield with Larry Hazer and Jason Zaleski. I'm Gene Delisio. Our next guest is the new boys basketball coach at Abbotsford High School, Garrett Rao. Coach, thanks for coming by and joining us on our program this evening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, Coach, let's talk about the start of your season, what things have looked like for the Falcons so far this year.
Well, we're 2-5 at the moment. Some good, some bad, all of the above, kind of. But new change, obviously new scheme, all that kind of stuff with me coming in. And so I think that it's taken them a little bit of time to just kind of adjust to me and adjust to my style and adjust to my system. Started 0-4, went 2-1 last week, so I think some things are starting to click and they're kind of getting into a rhythm and figuring out some stuff. So look forward to the rest of the season.
A lot of fans recall you as a standout athlete at Abbotsford High School. Tell us your journey that brought you back to Abbotsford to coach the basketball team this year.
Yeah, so I graduated in 2016 from Abbotsford High School. I actually went down to Illinois to Knox College, played football down there for 4 years, and then got a job in Galesburg, Illinois. I was there for 2 years, coached the sophomore team there for 2 years, and then went to Rova Williamsfield in Illinois that was just kind of right down the road. Was a varsity assistant for a year, and now I am back home.
And what's that like for a young man to come back to his hometown and coach the basketball team?
Oh, it's been great. It's been an awesome experience so far. The support from everybody, the community, the administration, the other people around the school have been really, really good, and I'm really, really happy to be back, be back around the family and all that kind of stuff. So it's been good.
Well, good. Tell us about some of the young men on your ball club this year, what they've done for you this season.
Yep, so we got a couple of returning guys back, some seniors. Senior captain Blake Bargender is kind of our do-it-all kind of guy. Averaging about 6 points a game, shooting the ball well, doesn't shoot it a whole lot. Is the guy that kind of we task with guarding the other team's best wing player. So he's been really good for us. Evan Rice has started a lot of games. He's kind of our de facto big guy. Really super athletic, really guards really well. Trying to get him to come along a little bit offensively, be more aggressive, be more confident, and all that kind of stuff. But he's been really good for us. Also in the starting lineup, we've had Preston Bunkelman, who is a senior. Started some games as a sophomore and then struggled a little bit last year, but he's back. He was our big guy in game 1 against Prentice. He had 20 points, and he shoots the ball really well for us, plays guard. Is kind of our secondary ball handler, bringing the ball up the floor. And then Grayson Totsky is kind of our do-it-all kind of guy this year so far. Leading scorer at just under 10 a game, shoots the 3-ball well, rebounds really well for being a 6'2" or so guard. And he's our leading assist guy also. So he's kind of the guy that makes everything run for us, and he's been really good. And he just continuously gets better every game as he gets more comfortable in our system. And then the other starter that we've had so far is the sophomore named Irvin Aguilera-Lazoya, a guy that kind of surprised us coming into the year. We didn't think that he was going to be a real big varsity contributor kind of guy. Played a little bit during the summer, but was kind of our 11th, 12th man off the bench throughout the summer. And came in and just showed a much improved offensive game, and was a lot more confident in some of his abilities, and that's been huge for him. He's another guy that really guards the ball well, and we kind of task him with guarding the other team's best perimeter player, and he kind of frustrates people a little bit. So those are starters. Off the bench, we have A.J. Broadhagen coming back, who has started a lot of games last year as a sophomore. Another one of those 6'2" longer wing players for us. He really gets after the ball defensively, working on his jump shot a little bit, but he can really get downhill and get to the rim and finish at the rim really well. So he's been really nice to have. We've had Peyton Schreiber, another junior, about 6'3", probably 215, bigger body as our backup big. His offensive game has really opened things up for us in our second unit. He was our leading scorer when we played Auburndale a couple weeks ago, and he just he's a big that can stretch the floor, which is great to have in today's game. Getting him to guard and rebound consistently is what we're working on, but he gives us something, a scoring punch off the bench that we kind of really need. And then we got Noah Schroffnagel is another one of our senior captains that comes off the bench, can really shoot it. Corin Decker's a young sophomore who's got a lot of potential for us, and he can kind of handle it a lot, and he shoots it pretty well, so that helps out. And then Carlos Lara is another senior that came out, big man, and he gives us kind of a physical presence, 6'4", about 300 pounds. So he rebounds the ball really well and does some things for us. And then one guy that we're pretty excited about getting back is JV Castillo. Partially tore his MCL during our playoff game against Cadott in football. And so he just got cleared to kind of start returning a little bit to some activities. So he's been back at practice off to the side doing some shooting and some other stuff. And so hopefully around New Year's time he'll be back, and I think he'll give us a big lift in terms of shot creation and some stuff like that, because he's just a really, really dynamic athlete, and I think that'll help us out a lot.
You know, when you talk about three-sport guys, J.V. Castillo would be probably about the best you can come up with.
Absolutely, absolutely. He's special.
Coach, as a new varsity coach, what are some things you're trying to instill in the program this year?
For us, I think everything starts with our defensive pressure and our defensive intensity. The two games that we've won, we've been able to kind of pick up some pressure full court and turn some people over. And I think that helps us get into a rhythm offensively and kind of get to the rim and do some things, get some easy buckets out in transition. And then offensively, just trying to install our system and instill in them the idea of floor spacing and sharing the ball and playing selfless basketball with each other is kind of what we've been focused on so far.
All right. How about some comments and questions from Larry Hazer? Larry?
Gene, or Coach, how are the players accepting the new regime?
They've been really, really receptive. They've been really good. They work really hard. They really get after it on a day-to-day basis. So they've been really good in buying in and doing all of those things. Working on continuing to improve skill level-wise, I think, is our biggest struggle at the moment.
Any challenges you found as a new head coach with this group, or?
So far, so good. Knock on wood, right? You know, you never want to jinx that, but no, they've been really good. I think it helps that I have so many juniors and seniors in the group. Of our 13 varsity kids, we have 11 juniors and seniors.
Okay.
And I think that they've kind of been around the block. They've been successful in football. They've been successful in baseball. And so I think it's just kind of getting them all going in the same direction and kind of getting things started. And I think that this is going to start to pick up, and we're going to be a lot more successful here pretty shortly.
How about the conference season this year?
We've played one conference game so far. Our first game was at Prentice. They took it to us a little bit. But I think Prentice and Rib Lake are probably the two teams to beat. They're sitting, 5-2, 4-2. Rib Lake's a senior-heavy group, really good, really talented. We have them on Friday, so I think that's going to be a really good measuring stick for us as to how far along we've come in the last month or so. Prentice playing them first. They're a lot younger. They got 9 freshmen and sophomore on their varsity roster. They got a sophomore who's really good, Evan Lord. He's averaging like 27 a game, I think, for them up there. So they can really score it. They can really do some things. And they kind of showed us everything that they could do there in our first game. And then we got to talk about Athens, obviously, having won the conference 3 years in a row now. They're off to a little bit of a slow start. I got to see them and Rib Lake play each other yesterday. But they're still super talented. They have a sophomore that's really, really talented too, with Riley Schultz-Becker. Can really fill it up. I think he leads their team in rebounds and assists and points. just really skilled, really talented. And then I don't know much about Phillips and Chequamegon, but they've played some of the Merriwood South teams pretty close, and we all know how good the Merriwood South is. So
where do you see Abbotsford fitting into the conference picture?
I think if we can finish in the top half, I think we'll be really, really happy with ourselves, and I think that's kind of what we're shooting for.
What do you think you're going to have to do to the keys to being that successful now as the season progresses here?
Yeah, I think continuing our skill development stuff, getting better at ball handling, shooting, all of the essential skills that come with basketball, and then just continuing to get after people defensively. I think athletically we're very good, and I think that's evident with our success in other sports. And so just continuing to kind of find ways to use our athletic ability and kind of get out and run and pressure people and do some of those things will help us out a lot.
All right.
Coach, we've had a lot of talk tonight about the prestige and the strength of the Merriwood South, which nobody denies. But how about competing in the Merriwood North every night? What's that been like for you as a player, now as a coach, facing some of those schools every night?
Yeah, it's good. There's a lot of good talent too in the Merriwood North. A lot of teams that compete for regional titles, sectional titles every year, especially in Division 5 and in that northern part of the state up there. So I think it's a unique challenge. I think every team kind of brings a different dynamic to it. And so being able to be prepared night in and night out against the entire Merriwood Conference is something that challenges us every night on a day-to-day basis and kind of really prepares us to compete in the playoffs when we get to that time.
And with Phillips especially and Chequamegon, you're dealing with some schools that are a little bit on the bigger size. That's going to be a disadvantage for you guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, we got to continue to work. And I think that the travel with those schools being northern in Wisconsin is always, something that you're cognizant of. I mean, conference games that are, 2 hours north of you or an hour and a half north of you and all those kinds of things, being able to travel like that. But I think, again, with our pressure and our pace, I think we can minimize some of those size differential things that we might run into.
Right. Well, Coach, good luck this season. Thanks for coming by.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Abbotsford High School basketball coach Garrett Rao joining us on our boys basketball preview program tonight from Nuts Deep 2 in Marshfield. Back with more in just a moment.
High school sports is being brought to you courtesy.
Snow piles up quickly. Remove it just as quickly with Kubota subcompact and compact tractors. Our #1 selling tractors are built to take on winter with front and rear mount snow blowers, blades, and rotary sweepers. Get select Kubota subcompact or compact tractors for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months and save $1,000. See your local Kubota dealer today. Your local Kubota dealer is Chili Implement, located 1 mile north of Highway 10 in Chili.
Little Sprouts Learning Garden with 2 convenient central Wisconsin locations. Here's Brooke Sievers to tell us about it.
Little Sprouts has been around for almost 7 years here in Auburndale. In Rudolph, we've been open for about 2.5. We serve here in Auburndale. We have 6 weeks old up until 12-year-olds. And then in Rudolph, we have 1-year-olds up until 12-year-olds. The biggest thing that we do with them is we have play-based learning so that they learn through play with each other. And social skills are a huge part of what we do with them.
Find Little Sprouts Learning Garden on Facebook today.
Need a new mattress? All Furniture in downtown Marshfield has mattresses, and you can save like never before. We have stacks of mattresses, save big on factory liquidations and closeouts, one-of-a-kind items, and mismatched fabrics. Save on special purchases and rollback pricing on 2-sided flippable mattresses. Discounts on adjustable bases and even clearance pricing on floor models.
The furniture people for good home furnishings. Mall furniture where value is yours.
Two in Marshfield on South Central Avenue. On Sports Radio 92.3 FM, WOSQ, Spencer Marshfield, and WOSQFM.com, along with ZaleskiSports.com. With Larry Hazer and Jason Zaleski, I'm Gene Delisio. Our next guest, Columbus High School basketball coach Joe Konieczny, stopping by to talk about Don's basketball. Coach, welcome to our program, and thanks for coming by this evening.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And to tell us about the start of your season, what things look like for the Dons this season.
Well, we have a very experienced group coming back, 9 seniors. they've been in the program for a lot of years, and they've really embraced a lot of the things we want to do. And really, as people, couldn't ask for more from a leadership effort standpoint. Emmett Konechny, Blake Jacoby, Charlie Moore, Lucas Krecklau, Cy Becker, Alex Edwards, Nathan Nemitz, Cal Burkhauser, and Cole Hilgeman. So those 9 have really kind of taken the leadership role. I think they know it's their last go at it, and have really embraced just trying to get the most out of it that they can. And I'm very grateful for them. Along with them, we have a junior named Sam Dooms, who's a really nice athlete, has really bought into the defensive part of things and rebounding, setting screens. And then Matt Konechny, a sophomore, has gotten minutes. Emmett's been out for the last 3 games with an injury, but we're hoping to get him back sometime this season. We're not sure when with the timetable, but I think we've won our last 3 without him. Some really nice wins in there at Auburndale and at Neelsville, which are always tough places to play. So, it's a work in progress like always, but I think we have a good group that could have a very good season.
What's it been like for you to have such an experienced group back with you this year?
Oh, it's great. They a lot of them played as sophomores. A number of them played huge roles last year. We lost Grant Olson, Isaac Moritz, Seamus Hoagland, 3 seniors. Grant had a really large role, but we have 2 or 3 nice athletes, Cy Becker, Alex Edwards, that have really been able to replace what he did from a basketball standpoint. From a leadership standpoint, we're still getting there because he was a really good leader, but the experience is always nice. I think what Bob Knight said, the best thing about juniors is they become seniors or something like that. And anytime you got that experience, it's definitely an advantage.
Anything in particular that's impressed you so far with your ball club this year?
I think we're very unselfish. I think we have 4 or 5 guys that can score 10, 15, 20 points. I believe they've embraced it's better to have 5 guys at 12 a game than 1 guy at 25 a game. So I think the balance has been really nice. 3 or 4 different guys have led us in scoring, and just the willingness to make the extra pass and to let the guy that's making shots take more shots. Those things from a big picture perspective have really been nice to see.
We've talked about some of your ball players in the past. I do want to talk about a couple of them. I've always been very impressed with Blake Jacoby as a ball player, especially what he does for you on the defensive end. We know he can shoot the ball, he can score quite a bit. He does a great job offensively. But as that point man on your zone defense, what a great job he does. Tell us about the role that Blake has in your ball club this year.
Oh, he's just he's a joy to be around as a human being, and I mean that. He doesn't change. We tell our players, from 3 to 5 o'clock, we're going to ask you to act a certain way. You're going to be unselfish. You're going to have to give maximum effort. You're going to have all these qualities for us to succeed as a team. If we have to change you as a person at 3 o'clock, it's not going to work. And Blake's kind of a prime example of that. He's just an effort person in everything that he does. Today at practice, there's a loose ball, and we're in a competitive 5-on-5 drill, and he dives past 4 JV kids to get on the ball. And I stopped it, and I said to those kids, I said, listen, who's the one of you that doesn't need to prove anything right now? I said, Blake's going to play 30 minutes a game, and Blake's going to get to shoot the ball whenever he wants, and Blake doesn't have to worry about his role here, yet he just dove past all of you to get on that ball, when you should have been the ones doing that. And I think the young players see that type of effort. I wish he was a little bit more vocal. He's not a do-what-I-say kind of kid. He just leads by example, and the example he sets for our younger players with his effort and unselfishness is just outstanding.
Another guy to talk about is Lucas Krecklau, because 20 years ago, we'd be saying, here's the Columbus High School post player, Lucas Krecklau, is in the low block and be the big post guy. And, of course, the game has changed so much that we don't have that too much anymore. But when you've got a guy with that kind of skills, how do you incorporate him in today's basketball?
Well, I think we've had to work on post passing more than we have in the past. Cole Hilgeman's another one that comes in to spell Lucas and has a nice role defensively for us. But we have to do a better job of getting him a post touch. And he's really good at getting the ball out of the post when he sees a double team or when a shooter becomes open. So he's also a very good rebounder. And he can finish with both hands. So, what Spencer game, I think he had 19 because we got him the ball. There's been a couple of games where we weren't as effective at getting him a touch before we shot an open 3. And when we go through him, it's definitely a nice asset to have.
How about the way the club looks defensively this year?
I think I love our effort. We have to be a little bit more disciplined at times, so leaving our feet in transition and getting behind the ball a few too many times on film. But from a rebounding standpoint, from a getting in front and helping and taking charges standpoint, we got some young men that have really bought in. And I think part of that is that's how they know they're going to get on the floor. If you're going to apply for a job at a company, there's got to be an opening. And we tell a kid like Sam Dooms or a kid like Alex or a kid like Mac, the shooting positions in this company are filled. So we're not looking for more of those. If you want to work here at this establishment, you're going to have to play defense and rebound, and then maybe those positions will open in the future for you. But I think part of that is they know how that's how they can get some time, so they've really bought in.
It strikes me that if you went to other schools in the area and you had a guy like Sam Dooms, say, or some other guys on your roster, there's a good chance that they'd be getting a lot of playing time as a sophomore, starting as a sophomore at some places, and now here in their junior year, they're playing a little bit. Maybe as a senior, they'll play next year. But how do you handle that situation, guys, that they know can really play the game pretty well, but they're stuck behind so many good players that you got above them on their roster?
I think we stress the big picture stuff. Beginning of the season, we'll go to the awards board, the recognition board in the gym that every school has, and I can point to 2007 or 2008 or 2019, one of the years we went to state, and I'll ask the boys. I say, who was all conference? Who was the conference player of the year? Who led them in scoring? You don't see any of that up there, but you do know that the 2019 team played at the Kohl Center. So in 20 years, when people look at that board, what do you want them to know about you? Because they're either going to know nothing or they're going to know that as a group you did something special for the school. So we try to stress that, but you're right. We have 30-some boys out for basketball, only 2 juniors out, so those freshman, sophomore, senior classes are big. But to get them to stay out, they have to buy into that it's not about anything individual. It's better to be the 8th man on a state caliber team than it is to start and score 20 points on a team that wins 5 or 6 games. And I think for the most part, they've bought in. And there's 5 spots in basketball. I love football. I love the other sports. But Coach Gorst does a really good job with our football program. There's 11 defense, 11 offense, special teams. There's a kicker. There's a punter. You can get 25, 26 young men to have a role and to buy in. Whereas in basketball, as a coach, I think it's tough because 5 guys are out there. They play offense. They play defense. The 11th person on a football team is a starter. The 11th person on a basketball program is playing some JV. And that's sometimes hard, I think, for young men to accept, and we've tried to get them to see a big picture when it comes to that stuff.
Right. Let's bring in Larry Hazer for some questions and comments. Larry?
I noticed your team not a lot of height this year, and you played a team in Neillsville here recently that does have a lot of height. What kind of things does that pose for you as a coach to
I
go
think
against this team?
Neillsville's games are always good for us, and they have been for years because you're playing a team that's got some athletes, and I think Coach Geyer's done a really good job since he's gotten there of really establishing kind of we're going to play hard all the time, and we're going to adjust our game plan based on who we're playing. We scouted them 4 or 5 games, and they didn't do a lot of the things we saw on film, but they did some things that beat us last year. So the film that helped us that game was when they beat us last year, we broke down that film, and we knew, okay, this worked for them last year. They're 3-2 where the kid comes out high, and we struggled against it. So that game was very good for us from just having to adjust standpoint. And they do have some big kids. The Hayes kid's really hard to box out. The Hazer boy is a really good athlete that attacks the glass hard. So to compete, you have to hold a team like that to 1 shot. Otherwise, they'll beat you. And I think for the most part, we did that. It was physical. We boxed out well. Kids like Cy and Lucas and even the guards, Blake and Mac, did a really good job of getting some bodies on people. And either that or you're not going to win. So it was a good game for us for sure.
Clarabelle Conference, I know everybody's saying it's Columbus Catholic's conference to win. Target on your back, does that put any pressure on your players at all, or do they not even look at that kind of thing?
I think we try not to talk about it. It sounds cliche, but let's see how good we can be today and stack enough days together and see where it falls at the end. We know there's some good teams in our league, the Neillsvilles, the Colbys, the Owen Withys. Loyal, I think, is got a really good sophomore class that's going to continue to develop with Coach DeSmet. So anybody can beat you if you don't come to play, and it's going to be important that without Emmett, especially this first part of the season, that we take a possession-by-possession mentality. The thing about not having him is I think it's forcing some other guys to do things that they wouldn't have to do otherwise as far as creating shots for other people. Kids like Blake and Charlie are going to have to create more and get in gaps more, and Mac's going to have to get in gaps more. We relied on Emmett a lot to be the creator, and I think against Auburndale, against Neillsville, against Spencer, those guys are trying to do those things where if we can get him back, now maybe we're better as a group collectively doing some things that we weren't having to do before. So I think that's the goal. It's just to see how good we can be the next few weeks and hopefully get him back and then be full strength at playoff time.
I know you said, we had a veteran team like this, and you kind of touched on a little bit about what you're going to have to do. Is there some things you have to get better at as the season goes on?
I mean,
you look at your team, and it's a good team. I mean,
it is a good team, but I think the tendency sometimes is to do what you have to win. So we're trying hard to we're not about whether or not we won on the scoreboard. Like, how well did we play? Did we build good habits? When you're up by 25, can you treat that possession the same as you're going to have to treat it when it's a tie game with 30 seconds left? And if we don't do that, then we're building poor habits, and it's going to cost us against a good team. So I think for the most part they've bought in, but there's been some situations where now you have a lead and you relax on a possession and a kid hits an open three. And why wasn't the desperation or the intensity the same as it's going to need to be with 30 seconds left in a tie game? If we can do that, I think we have a good chance to have a really good season. But if we get complacent and human nature kind of tells you to do what you have to versus what you're capable of, and that's what we're trying to avoid.
I don't know if you do this, if you look back on teams over the years, but how does this team stack up with some of the teams you've had over the years?
I think it's incredibly balanced. They're all different, but our guards, with Blake and Charlie and Emmett coming back, are probably as good as a set of three as we've had. We had Furlinger and Hunter Schultz. Those guys were very good, and Molliver was right behind them. Reminds me a little bit of those three. But from an athleticism and depth standpoint, I think it's maybe as good as any team we've had. Now, a lot of it's where you get placed in the playoffs and what other people have, too. And we're in a really tough bracket, so I don't know what the end result's going to be, but I'm hopeful that, in 20 years they can look back and say this was a lot of fun and we did some pretty cool things. So,
Coach, big loss for you this year in that Eric Wilson is no longer on the bench next to you because he took the girls' job. How about your coaching staff for this year?
Yeah, he was a huge loss. He was with us for 5 or 6 years, and he did a lot. That was a situation where, as the athletic director of the school, you were very happy for the girls' program. But as the boys' basketball coach, you were kind of ticked off about it, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying anything bad, but he was tremendous. We're very fortunate that we have 4 assistant coaches at the high school level that do a great job. Jared Fleischman played for us 2014, had a nice career at Viterbo. He's back in the area, and he's a varsity assistant for us. Ryan Deringer was on the 2017 team that made it to the Cole Center. He's our JV coach. And Isaac Dahlke played against us at Northland Lutheran. He's a Phi teacher at the school. Does a really good job with C-team and film and a lot of little things that our program needs. And then Brian DeVries came back. I was gone for a week with my family in the car accident. Emmett was in the hospital. So, during that time, Brian, I need you to come back. And he's been great. So those guys, especially the last week and a half, I've missed a lot of practice. They've run the practices. They're in constant communication. They've been unbelievable as a staff. And then another thing I'm excited about is we got Jared Mandel teaching at Columbus now. He was on the 2019 team. He's kind of taken over our middle school program. So him and Charles Payant, Will Boyer, 2 other former players, they're doing the 7th and 8th grade. We have some pretty good numbers at those groups with like 13 8th graders and 11 7th graders. And all the way down 6th, 5th, 4th, they've really kind of taken on the youth part of it. And that's a great asset to have, too. So all those people I'm very, very appreciative of.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming by, and good luck this season.
Thank you. And if I could just say something, I know you talked to a lot of coaches tonight, but, my son was in a car accident, and people know that. And I think just about every program that was here tonight reached out with a card or with a 50-50 raffle or with prayers, and that was the biggest thing. And, we use the word rivals a lot, and I hate that word because I don't know that we really have rivals in high school sports, but all those programs have been like tremendous friends to my family, and I can't say enough about the basketball community in central Wisconsin. That really helped us through a difficult time. So I ask for continued prayers, and I just want to thank everybody out there for their compassion and their care and their genuine concern for my family. We are most appreciative.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it, and good luck this year.
Thank you.
Columbus Dons basketball coach Joe Konieczny with us on our boys basketball preview program from Nuts Deep 2 in Marshfield. Back with more in just a moment.
Tonight's game brought to you courtesy of our broadcaster club members, including
Why work for Staub Construction?
Everybody around you is just family.
Everybody seems to bond together and get along good, and
they, I believe, truly care about their employees.
Staub has a a great benefits package.
Staub is an employee-owned company that puts a large emphasis on work-life balance.
And everybody wants to see everybody succeed. It's a good place to work.
Join the team at Staub Construction. Apply now at staubco.com.
Fleet Farm has everything you need for every season of life. From tending the vegetable garden season to planting 100 acres of crops season. Fleet Farm is your one-stop shop. Whether it's strawberry jam season, cook your walleye season, or his first set of wheels season. Fleet Farm is built for every season. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
For over 50 years, the Dental Clinic of Marshfield has served the area with the talent and expertise of big city dentistry with a hometown feel. With our multi-specialty staff and board-certified periodontist, orthodontist, and pediatric dentist, Dental Clinic of Marshfield has solutions for our patients of all ages from 1 to 100. We take pride in being in-network with an array of insurance companies to meet the needs of our community and our patients. No matter what your dental need, the Dental Clinic of Marshfield will be there for you.